Well, here's probably what will be the iconic final image of America's adventure in Afghanistan. It's a night vision goggle image of Major General Christopher Donahue, and the Army sends out a tweet saying that the Major General is the last American soldier to leave Afghanistan. That's typical for American armies. Our generals are supposed to lead from the front or from the rear, as the case may be here. The picture, as I mentioned, as you could see earlier, is taken with night vision goggles. Now, we don't know whether those night vision goggles belong to the U.S. Army or whether the photographer was a Taliban fighter who managed to get one of the 16,000 pairs of night vision goggles that we left behind in Afghanistan in our magnificent effort to get out of there. But that's not all we took, because as it turns out, Major General Christopher Donahue, the last American soldier to leave Afghanistan, took something else with him as well. He didn't take any of the night vision goggles that we left there. He didn't take any of the supplies we left there. Now, he actually had a piece of Taliban equipment. It was basically a Jeep-like vehicle with a fairly sophisticated anti-aircraft gun mounted to the back. Now, he said he wanted to take that back to show how the U.S. Army was able to regain the tactical advantage during our final days in Afghanistan. But what he doesn't say is that there were anywhere from 50 to 100 Afghan refugees who were already on that plane. Not people who said, hang on, no, you're on the plane. And apparently, this is what the story is saying, Major General Christopher Donahue, the last American soldier to leave Afghanistan, basically told families, women, children, kids with teddy bears, that kind of thing. I'm not making this up. Get off the plane. We're bringing this war trophy of ours back to America so I can put it on my base and talk about what an amazing job we did. Just when you think the disgrace can't get any more disgraceful, here you are. And when I heard this, when I heard that 50 people, 100 people were taken off an airplane to be murdered by the Taliban, and that is what has already happened to them or will happen to them in the near future. These are people who gave their lives to help America. These are people who took an enormous gamble with their entire families to help our soldiers, to save our soldiers in many cases, and naively enough thought that maybe we'd be grateful for that. So just imagine yourself now as a man who has in fact worked with American forces during our time in Afghanistan, saved American lives, and has now been given the promise that he was given in the beginning, which is, if things go sour, we'll get you home. He and his entire family board a C-17. They're sad to be leaving their home, but at least they know they're not going to be murdered. Once safe inside the American, sterile, beautifully built, magnificently maintained, well-engineered American flying miracle, ready to go to the big silver bird in the sky and go back to the United States and start a new life, we find out, no, actually, all of you, get up, back off the ramp you go. The general has a war trophy that he wants to bring home. Most of the people that were kicked off of that plane in order to make room for this general's war trophy are either dead now or going to be dead within the next few weeks or months. You just think about that for a second. Oh, hey, parenthetically, I mentioned that the war trophy in question was basically a Taliban vehicle with a fairly sophisticated Soviet anti-aircraft gun on the back. This is the Army's version of the Phalanx. It's capable of shooting down incoming mortar rounds, incoming rockets. Shoots them right out of the air. We left 2 of those behind as well, you see. We had the time and the effort to get this war trophy on the plane, but apparently didn't have the time or the effort to go and get these 2 critical point defense systems. Now, the Army says that they disabled them, and I'm sure that somebody went and smashed it up a little bit, but I'm also pretty sure that if you get inside the guts of one of these things, you're going to find all kinds of ball bearings and control systems and all the things that are necessary in order to shoot a bullet out of the sky with another bullet, but we left those there because we've got our priorities straight. You see, what's most important is to have a gate guard trophy of a Taliban anti-aircraft unit that we brought back to show our mastery of the tactical situation in the final days of the withdrawal from Afghanistan. I'll say one last thing about this because it's the first thing that came to my mind. When I heard that human beings were being kicked off of a transport, people who had risked their lives to help America, people who are just as real as you or me or Major General Christopher Donahue, the last American soldier to leave Afghanistan, people who are exactly as real as any of us. When I heard that people were being kicked off an airplane to allow this trophy on board, to salve a general's vanity, I was reminded of one thing and one thing only, and it came to me instantly. And that's the most heartbreaking moment in one of the most heartbreaking movies ever made, and I'm talking about Schindler's List. At the very end of Schindler's List, Schindler, the Nazi industrialist, the capitalist, the playboy, is broke, ruined. He has managed to keep hundreds, if not thousands, of Jews alive, and in this scene, which is magnificently acted with Liam Neeson, this final scene where this man realizes the price in human lives for the things that he owned is one of the greatest moments in movie history. And I'm not going to describe it, I'm just going to show it to you.
This car. Kurt would have bought this car. Why did I keep the car? 10 people right there. 10 people. 10 more people. This pin. 2 people. This is gold. 2 more people. You would have given me 2 for it. At least 1. You would have given me 1. 1 more. 1 more person. Person stand for this. I could have got 1 more person. And I didn't. I didn't.
This is a moment where a man realizes that people are more important than things. That people, even hated people, even people who he didn't even consider people, once he got to know them, are more important than things. This car, 10 people, my Nazi party pin, 2 people, 3 people, 1 at least 1. I could have saved 1 living person if I had sold this in order to hire another worker. These are the Nazis. This is what Nazis think. And this moment in Schindler's List, this moment of grief and remorse and agony at realizing that not only him, but the entire Nazi system is predicated on the idea that things are more important than people. This realization of what this thing cost in terms of actual human lives breaks him. And it broke me. And it should break anybody with a conscience and a soul. And so my question for Major General Christopher Donahue, the last American soldier to leave Afghanistan, is simply this. What are the names of the people who you kicked off of that airplane so that you could take your war trophy home? What are their names? I want to see Donahue's list, not a list of the people who were saved, the people who were killed in order to have this general bring this thing back home to America in triumph. I want to know their names, and I want to see their faces too, because those are real people and this really happened. And I'm not inventing this. There are stories, parenthetically, to find a shimmer of a silver lining on this, of regular soldiers saying, I'm not doing it. I'm not loading this thing onto this vehicle. I'm not asking people to get off this plane. I'm not loading this thing. It's a war trophy. It's a war crime. There are stories of soldiers basically saying he doesn't have the paperwork, and other soldiers saying he's a major general, he doesn't need the paperwork. And then the soldiers saying, no, I'm just not going to do it. Good for you. We should make that guy the major general, and this guy needs to go to jail. And not only does he need to go to jail, he needs to go to a jail that has a picture of every single one of the faces of the people that he kicked off of that airplane, people who risked their lives to help this country. The human beings that he actually forced off of an airplane so he could bring his truck home. I want him to spend the rest of his life in a prison cell with those faces on every wall. That's what I want. And there is something very, 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 very wrong in the United States Pentagon. And if something is this evil and this immoral and this spiritually blind among the top leadership in the United States Army, then this rot has gone even further than I thought it would have in my worst nightmare, which is coming true every single day.